You're listening to Beauty, Strength, and Dominance, the official podcast of Lingerie Fighting Championships. And now, here's your host, Michael Larkin.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of Beauty, Strength, and Dominance, the official LFC Lingerie Fighting Championships podcast. My name is Mike Larkin, and joining me today, it's a pleasure to have her back on the show. The last time you saw this amazing face right here was LFC 37 Back to the Mansion against Jenny Bloody Valentine, and a very memorable yet controversial bout, which we'll get into in today's forum. The one, the only professional wrestler, LFC fighter, the diehard one herself, Miss Danika Della Rouge. Danika, it's a pleasure and a privilege. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. It's great to talk with you again. I know it's been quite some time since the last time, maybe a couple of years now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I look at it from a stance like this. It's one of those things where you were in your debut for LFC back at LFC 30, Born to Be Wild against Shay the Fox Mazzato and winning that LFC championship. And I know you've dealt with some injuries over the years and you've dealt with some stuff, but the main thing is you're here and you're back and you're killing it in the professional wrestling game. So to see your face back at LFC 37, I know for myself and a lot of the LFC fans and faithful, they were great to see DDR back in action.
Oh, yes, it is definitely great to be back. I feel like I've been gone too long, so I'm definitely ready to get back in action and just go hands on.
When we go back to LFC 37, Back to the Mansion, I look at it like this. First and foremost, from the Danika Della Rouge that we saw back at LFC 30 to this, I have to ask you, the attitude had changed, it had shifted. You had a new look, new attire. You really did not only grow up in front of the LFC fans' eyes, but also at the same time, man, that attitude shifted going into your second bout ever with LFC against Jenny Bloody Valentine. Talk about that, man, because that was a seismic shift of what we got from the Danika in 2020 to the Danika that we got in 2023.
Oh, yeah, 2020 was obviously just a crazy year in general, and that was my time to come back into it. And it was just a different kind of comeback. I feel like with Jenny, it was just different because I was returning from an injury rather than, from COVID. And it was just something that I wanted and I was pushing for. And, something that drove me during my injury was coming back to LFC. And I didn't care who it was. I know, like, the first time I did you guys in Sturgis, it was me and Maserati, and we've had many matches in wrestling before, but me and Jenny, we've never fought before. We've never fought in the ring, and we haven't really talked quite outside of that. So I just didn't know what I was in for, and I don't think she knew what she was in for either.
I will say this. I think one thing that I saw the similarities between your bout with Shay back at LFC 30 and this one with Jenny, first and foremost, like you mentioned, and for those who've not checked out Danika and Shay outside of LFC, my God, FSW, shout out to Future Stars of Wrestling. A lot of the great work there and everything that you two have fit like hand in glove, great chemistry. Going into this, I mean, Jenny is Bloody Valentine. It's all in the name. She's out there to rip ass and take names. She's a very, very statuesque human being. And you in your own right, both very crisp talents in the wrestling world and in the LFC world. And I think what I liked about it too as well is we talk about the aesthetics, man. First of all, you come out with like the purple hair. You got the badass, or you got that no-nonsense look on your face, much like the hair that you have now that's badass. I look at it like this, man. I really did enjoy not only, like we mentioned, the seismic shift in attitude, but you two certainly gave us a hell of a performance going to this. There was suplexes, there was kicks, there was strikes. This is definitely what we saw from the wrestling side of things. And you both put your hair up to square up. So I have to ask you this, going into this bout as well, man, one of the most controversial parts of it was there was a bite. There was a little biting action. Dare I say, take a bite out of life, Mikey Tyson style, like Evander Holyfield back in '97. Let's talk about this because it was a very integral part of the match, and you did get the win by disqualification. Probably not the way you wanted to win, but my God, man, the bite hurt around the world, if you will, in the LFC realm.
Valentine in a lot of pain.
I think Coach
there.
Hader's thinking about throwing in the towel. I mean, you look at all the pain that she's in, you got to wonder, can you continue? But just as he does, she moves to the top. Is she biting her? Oh, my goodness. I think she bit the ear.
Yeah, it seems like maybe it's an LFC thing. I don't know the other side. Maybe it's like the black team. I'm not sure which team it is, but I don't know why. But Maserati, now Jenny, it's like one thing after another. Maserati threw water at me. She made the mat all slippery. We fell out of the ring, and now Jenny is biting me. Like, I don't understand. I come with everything. I am aggressive and I don't hide it. I don't lie about it. But for these women, I don't know why they keep picking at me. I don't know if it's because they're threatened by me. I don't know why they have to cheat. Why? What is the purpose? Are you afraid to lose? Like, I don't really understand. But I think they're just scared of me.
As they say, haters gonna hate and players are gonna play, to quote 3LW from back in 2001. I look at it like this, DDR. You came in here with the chip on your shoulder, and I love that about you because, again, the attitude part, same with Jenny. But the best part about this whole thing, if you guys go back and watch the clip with LFC 37, even Leon goes, it's like, hey, I didn't see nobody. She bit herself. I don't know. What are you talking about? It's like Leon's trying to make the excuses like Jenny didn't even bite. And I got to say, it's clear as day. She has you on the mat there, and she did a little something, something, so to speak. So, I mean, we saw it clear as day there. You mentioned water spilled, you and Shay going out to the floor on the table right on that sand at LFC 30. I think in this particular scenario, I look at it like this. Yes, I don't know what it is, DDR, but I got to say, you certainly made some moments and memories thus far in your LFC tenure. So, I mean, you made the highlight reel, so to speak.
Well, thank you, thank you. And I mean, I feel like he has a lot to say for someone that wasn't even in the ring. And how about he shows us a video of him trying to bite his own ear and see how that goes?
Exactly. And I mean, and I love Coach Leon Hader to death, but he's known for some moments in LFC history as well. So he is no saint. But I look at it like this, man. I did really enjoy the bout. Y'all go back and check out LFC 37 Back to the Mansion. I do have to say this now, man. Since you never necessarily lost that LFC championship, our current LFC champion is Bella Inc. She won at LFC 41 Lingerie Fight Club in Las Vegas, Nevada. I got to say, the sights need to be set now on that LFC championship. You never lost to Danica, so I got to think your eyes are going to be back on that prize.
Yeah, I mean, I never did. And the first time around, she did have something to say. And I mean, nothing came from it. I mean, things happen. I got hurt, so I don't understand. I feel like I should have an opportunity for that belt since I had it and I never lost it either way. But I mean, if I have to, I'll push for it. If I have to fight from the bottom back up, I'll do it again. I mean, it's no sweat off of my back.
We have so many great talents who have come into the LFC. I mean, we recently saw the likes of Lauren, the Adventure X, Ceccarelli coming to fruition. We got Shay. We have so many different people. Bella Madison, who currently has that booty camp champ chain. She's got the blingage around her neck. We have so many people that really came in. And I think the nice addition of the DDRs here, ladies and gentlemen, so many people. It's a hot time for LFC. And I think you concur as anybody can concur with this. It's a hell of a time for really people to just really empower themselves and showcase that internal and external beauty. But goddamn, at the end of the day, when it comes to LFC, you're in for the entertainment and fun value. So I think we're going to see more people coming in from the pro wrestling world and in general. And I got to say, it's been such a great pleasure to have you a part thus far, man.
No, I'm so glad you guys have really taken me in and let me experience this. This is obviously so much different than wrestling, but it is so much more fun. And I love the aggressiveness. I love the sexiness of it. It's just so much fun. And everyone's out there to have a fun and great time.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the sexiness side of things. I've always looked at it like this. So you and I are very much big into the storytelling realm. If you go back to our episodes, we've talked about storytelling in wrestling and the subtleties, intricacies, and nuances. I've always looked at look at it like this. Very much comparison, much to like the LFL was with the Lingerie Football League. It's sexy, badass women in lingerie, but they're playing football in the physicality. That's like what LFC is. But I think the nice little dichotomy too is it's the nice variety and spice that goes with anything in professional wrestling. People can like this style, what have you, but I think the best way to look at it, we talk about the lens and the art form, it's what it is. Everything, if you really look at it through the right lens, is an art form. And I think the best art form is something that's different and unique and it has a variety to it. And some people can really expand the horizons and really be open up to something because you never know once you either visualize it or you try it. So it's all really about taking in the art form, so to speak.
Yes, I do agree with that. There always is a art, a form of something, a formula that you'll follow that just flows right.
Absolutely. And I will say something that did flow right. I got to put this one over here because this is another one where I'm talking about. I was so excited to see this for you because I know the hard work that you put in. Man, your appearances on AEW, All Elite Wrestling, let's get into it just because, man, you got in there with the likes of Jamie Hayter. I'm talking about Kiera Hogan. You would have cared taking on Marina Shafir and Nyla Rose. You got some singles action, you got some tag team action. I got to ask you, talk about those AEW dark appearances and the overall experiences with All Elite Wrestling.
Oh, they're always just so amazing. Everyone there wants to work. Everyone there wants to make it. Everyone kind of wants the same thing. And we all know it's kind of, a wrestling family. And to just be able to be out there and be a part of it, whether how big or small it is just, it's wonderful. Everybody, doing things, doing your job, and it's something that you love just makes it so much better. No one wants to work a job that they don't love, and just being able to fulfill it and go even further and beyond and have a bigger crowd and have that chance to, broadcast and, feel it for myself is just amazing.
I think what I love about it too is now how we all consume professional wrestling. I think at the time with AEW Dark being on YouTube and what we have now with streaming and what AEW is doing now with the Max platform, and much like WWE is doing now with the Netflix platform, there's so many ways to really take in professional wrestling. And it reminds me of the days back when WWE had the velocities and the heat from the online platform, so to speak. You have so many hours of television to consume professional wrestling. And I always love that aspect of professional wrestling because it's like, hey, I may not have seen Danika Della Rouge before, but god dang it, man, I saw her take on Jamie Hayter. I saw her in there with Marina Shafir and Nyla Rose, and I've seen her there with Kiera Hogan. So it makes people want to see more of you, especially with independent professional wrestling. What I love about indie wrestling too is you never know who you're going to see. It's more eyes on the product. It's more of that gravitational pull. And I think in these matchups that you had, because I know you've worked with Marina Shafir and Defy Wrestling, like the chemistry was there, the crispness was there, and everything was there for the amount of time that you get in professional wrestling. And I know you can concur with this. You simply and surely made the most of your time.
Thank you. I really do appreciate it. It's a lot of hard work, and sometimes you only get a few years of it, but I mean, take as much as you can, and you never really retire. You always come back and do what you love.
Oh, agreed. It's like, and God rest the soul, it's like Terry Funk vibe, where Terry Funk would like, I'm gonna retire at this age, and then here's 58 Terry Funk doing a moonsault onto friggin' Mick Foley at like one night stand on 6 and going through the barbed wire boards. There's so many different layers and aspects to it, and I gotta put this into the forefront as well because we gotta put over the WWE ID program. My God, woman, Zoe Sager. The great matches as well, but god dang it, man, I know you had some interaction with her. This is another one who's on the come up and on the rise, and how awesome is it to see how like the WWE ID is really finding a lot of prospects and really has been beneficial in getting the eyes on more of the indie scene.
Yeah, I think that's so wonderful, and it being, that match I had with Zoe was in Canada, so it's just great that they're reaching out and going abroad, and it's great seeing how these young wrestlers are getting these amazing and wonderful opportunities that may have not been there before, and hopefully that they take it with everything that they have and go for it because it's an amazing opportunity.
I look at it like this, and I mean, under the current regime now that we have in the WWE, like if you would have told me, like I'll say, like 15 years ago, right, 2010, especially with the ID program and how we're focusing on the indies, much like WWE, like you mentioned abroad, like when we had the NXT UKs, and they're working with the ICWs and the Progress Wrestlings, and now we have WWE and TNA in a multi-year partnership. Like I would have told you were nuts if this was 15 years ago, but god dang it, man, you're seeing your Jordan Graces. You're seeing people that you've seen in WWE working with the NXT talent. It's getting the reps in. It's really getting more eyes on both respective products, especially with NXT being on CW. This is really what makes professional wrestling thrive. It's such a good time, Danika.
Yes, it really is, and it's really great seeing all of these wrestlers that I had an opportunity getting in the ring with them and then seeing them signed. I don't want to say their wrong name, but the name that I did have matches with them and their new name now. But I see so many of them now signed on airing on TNA, on WWE, on AEW, and it's just wonderful. It's just so happy. It makes me happy to see them thrive out in the world.
I think what's great about it too is as well, and we talk about many different promotions out there. I look at it like this, man, and I've always said this. I think, and I'm going to put this into the forefront here, and I think you concur with me on this, Danica. Tribalism in professional wrestling is the stupidest doggone thing I've ever seen in my life because I look at it like this. Hey, man, if you don't like WWE, watch TNA, watch AEW. Hey, man, if you don't like TNA, watch AEW. Hey, man, if you don't like AEW, go to your local indies. Watch Major League Wrestling. Go to FSW and Future Stars of Wrestling. Go wherever on the independent scene, West Coast, East Coast, it doesn't matter. There's so many things out there for you to obtain and observe. Just fucking enjoy it. In the bluntest of terms to put it, just fucking enjoy it because there's something for everybody in today's day and age, man.
Yes, I do agree with that, and I just love how open all of the that's why I love indie wrestling, and we all are just supportive of wherever you end up because we have memories with each other, and we just want them to thrive, and hopefully we get to thrive with them.
Agreed. And I'll show my age here. So I remember as a 13-year-old kid, I went to my first ever indie show. And mind you, when you're in high school, because I was like in middle school going into high school at the time, kids nowadays, they know WWE are the mainstream of what we get to see on TV, folks. When you say indie wrestling, they'll look at you like, well, what does that mean? I'm like, your local professional wrestling promotion. I'm like, your local professional wrestling promotion. And the first ever indie I went to was a company by the name of New York Wrestling Connection on Long Island. And I'm like, now, mind you, a lot of people that came from the school, folks, like the Mike Mondo, who are going to be Mikey in the Spirit Squad, the Bull James, and the Zach Ryders, and the Kurt Hawkins, Brian Myers, and Matt Cardona, and seeing their uprise to where they were and to now how they are. I think it's wonderful because you never know. Like, you could be like this kid seeing this person, then you see him soar to so much heights. It's an experience, not only like we mentioned earlier with the funness and the entertainment value of professional wrestling, but if you've never been to indie show, and I say this to anybody who's going there for the first experience, take it in because you're going to see a lot of great things going forward. There's nothing like indie wrestling, and I say that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I can definitely agree because it's so much different than watching it on TV or even WrestleMania or watching the in-house. It's different. It's up close. It's personal, and it's just great.
Oh, agreed. And I mean, I look at it like you're going to like Defy Wrestling, you're going over here, you're going over there. And I said, that's got to be one of the best rides and thrill rides of professional wrestling to travel because you're going into new things. Like you mentioned abroad, we're talking Canada. When you think of Canada, you think of the Hart family. You think of BCW, Border City Wrestling, Scott D'Amore, Maple Leaf Wrestling now, which is another great thing that's really thriving. So you're going to Canada with such a rich history, like anywhere you go. And I think you concur with me. There's such a rich history of territory. There's such a rich history of professional wrestling, and you really get to learn and adapt, which is something that never stops going in life, and especially in professional wrestling. I got to say this about you. With what we have now, with you, we mentioned your first two opponents with Shay and winning that LFC championship, and then that memorable bout with Jenny and the biting and the chemistry you two have. I look at it like this, man. We talk about the fun aspect and the also aspect of this. I got to say, from the aesthetic side of things, and I got to put this into the forefront, DDR, because we have so many people that make their moments and memories through their entrance and when they get in that proverbial squared circle. God dang it, man. The lingerie was rocking both times, man. I got to say, I like the aesthetic that you had this time. It was very in your face and very rugged and raw. I got to say, I love the authenticity and everything that you went into that for this season, man. And especially in the first one, the change up. You really flowed with your style this time.
Thank you. I am more of just what you see is what you get. I'm a Florida girl. We're aggressive. We're upfront. We're in your face. Being in Washington is pretty different. Everyone's very passive aggressive, and that's not really my style. And I don't think I'll change that for anyone.
Now I gotta say, first of all, this one being a Florida girl over here. Shout out to the FL, man, Florida, if you will. I can concur with that. I do have family in Florida, so it's very much a rugged and raw compare. It's definitely a culture shock than what Washington is. Absolutely, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But I think
it's so different.
It is, man. And I've been to Washington because I have family there, and I've been to Florida. There's definitely a seismic change. And I mean, I'll say this right now as a New Yorker, and when you're in the South and you're in South Carolina, another culture shock, but at the same time, too, everybody at the end of the day is very passionate about their craft. That I can respect. But God dang it, man, the culture shock is real. Put that on the t-shirt, folks. The culture shock is real.
It's real.
Absolutely is. But man, that's the thing too. And I think this time around as well. And I gotta say, wherever LFC goes, it doesn't matter if it's in Vegas or it doesn't matter if it's in Sturgis. I gotta go back to Sturgis for a second because I think what's cool about this too is as well, there's a rich history in professional wrestling when it comes to Sturgis. I mean, WCW back in the day had their Hog Wild, where the motorcycles, where you didn't really have the fans cheering, you just had them revving up that motorcycles, much like we saw with Sturgis. Like that's got to be also not only a different crowd and different atmosphere, but god dang it, man, when those friggin' motorcycles are revving, you know you're doing something right because it's another aesthetic of really how the crowd is and then know the type of realm and the surroundings that you're really performing in, you know?
Oh yeah, and that was my first time on a motorcycle, and they tell you right before you go on there, hey, watch out for your leg that you don't burn it, and I'm terrified, but I mean you can't show you're terrified and ride a motorcycle. There's just no way that you can even feel that way. The second that you sit on that thing, it all goes away.
Oh, absolutely. And I will say you certainly did make a memorable entrance of there. I mean, the smiles were galore in this entrance. I got to put it out because it's a different style of entrance. Like you saying, get on that motorcycle. And it's a different style and different aesthetic to what we see. It's almost like the underground approach because if you're new to it and you've not been on the underground, it's like we're telling you about Fight Club because in Fight Club, you never talk about Fight Club. But god dang it, we're inviting you to this club and we're certainly going to talk about it and come on aboard.
There she is, Danika Della Rouge. I apologize for butchering her name earlier. I promise it will not happen again. Della Rouge is making her LFC debut tonight. Of course, she has been in the game for quite some time. She brings that 14-5 record to the ring, so she's not a newcomer to the sport.
Not to the sport. It's just the first time we saw her, but she is going in there with some tough competition. I've always said Shea Mazzato, it has to be one of the most talented fighters that we have on the roster.
Absolutely.
And for her to come in and fight her on a debut, I'm really expecting great things because to go in there and fight Shea, you got to bring it. You got to be top notch. So super excited to see what Danika can bring to this fight.
Yeah, heck of a first assignment. That's a great way to make an entrance.
That was pretty cool.
That's how you make a first impression.
But that's the thing too, man. And I mean, we mentioned earlier about the Marina Shafirs of the world. And I have to ask you about Marina because she is one of the prominent roles now in AEW with the Death Riders, with Jon Moxley, with Claudio Castagnoli, Pac, and Wheeler Yuta. My goodness, this woman's transformation, this woman really being in the forefront right now. And you two, goodness gracious, man, just you two, again, two very aggressive styles, and her being MMA and just kicking the crap out of you with the kicks and the strikes, and you gave it right back to her. I got to ask you about Marina because we mentioned Defying AEW, but holy cow, man, that woman could go.
Oh yeah, Marina is a different beast, and I think I would have a very different approach for LFC with her here. But yes, those kicks were something else. I don't think I've felt those kicks over here. Maybe our girls need to train a little bit harder to hit as hard as her.
Oh my goodness gracious. I think one of the first things I ever saw her, I mean, post WWE, of course, like, man, like her and Speedball Mike Bailey, and shout out to Speedball Mike Bailey, did his thing in TNA. Like, holy hell, for GCW and Bloodsport. And I mean, you had the Masha Slaboviches over there too, who's now the current Knockouts champion. That's another thing, man. I mean, when you study that so amazingly and being a part of the four horsewomen of MMA with Shayna, with Ronda, with Jessamine Duke, you have that style to you. And again, just being a tough lady. And I think you concur. We talked about the subtleties, intricacies, and nuances. This role that she's in now with the Death Riders of just, I'm just going to judo flip you. I'm going to take you down, and that's it. Like, it's done. We see what she's done with Jay White and so many opponents now in the AEW world and really helping out the Moxley faction. That's got to be cool to see. Just another one, like we mentioned, people on the rise working hard. She's been doing her thing now, really being put into this main event role.
Yeah, she definitely has. I did have a little bit of a chance to speak with her before we were on bad terms. And, she was very vocal about putting in the work, and that if you believe you can do it and you put in all the hard work and put in the hours, that it'll happen. You just have to push and push and push, and that the only person that can make it is you.
I have to say this. First of all, that is beautiful advice to really adhere to and to elaborate on. But I also got to say this about you, DDR, because the last time we got a chance to talk on this fine podcast, we did talk about Buddy Wayne, God rest his soul, and really just the overall old school mindset and just the right way of doing things in professional wrestling, making the most of whether you're on the card or your enhancement talent. You're really fulfilling the role and making the most of your time. Speaking of another Wayne, man, God dang it, Nick Wayne with the friggin' patriarchy over here. We got Christian Cage, we had Luchasaurus, we got now Kip Sabian, of course, Mama Wayne. How awesome is it to see really Nick thriving the way he's doing now in AEW? Holy hell.
Oh, that's just amazing. I mean, we all knew it from the day that we met him. We're like, you're going to make it. Take your time. Watch out. Don't do anything crazy. Don't get injured and just have fun. And I remember him just worrying about, you guys are going to leave me. You guys are going to get signed and leave me. And we're like, no, you're going to leave us. You're going to get signed and you're going to be out there and you're going to just explore the world and have so much fun doing it. And it's just amazing to be able to actually see it come true. And it's crazy because I remember him being, I'm 5'1". I wrestle with midgets. He was smaller than me, and now he's just, grown in height and skill and just everything. And it's just so awesome to see it finally blossom and see what else he does next.
I look at it like this. Like, here's a dude who you want to talk about. I know we got Chris Jericho on the learning tree, but I'm going to talk about a different type of learning tree. When you're in there with Christian Cage, one of the best doggone, whether he's in a singles match or whether he's tag teaming with Edge now, Adam Copeland Cope. That dude has such a wealth of knowledge that you can really learn and adhere to. And then he just worked with Samoa Joe like a couple days ago on Collision. And I'm like, the dude has the fundamentals, not only from working with y'all, but just to where he is now and how much he can really take in. That's the beauty of professional wrestling, adaptation and growth. And like you mentioned, I'm going to put this over because you made me laugh as soon as you said wrestling midgets. I saw a lot of the stuff on your social media, and I got to put this over. It makes me smile because I think about in 2006 when WWE brought in the juniors and you had the Super Porkies and all these talents. It reminds me of Lucha Underground where you had Mascarita Sagrada and all the talents coming from AAA. Like, that type of style is not only very cool to me, but also number two, we mentioned the entertainment factor. They could go, like, for their size and their stature. They're quick. They're very statuesque. And you fit right in. I got to say, I like the nice little cohesion that y'all have within that particular realm.
Oh yeah, they can definitely go, and it's another, experience. Just it's a different world, and I get to be a part of it. I get to watch, and I get to learn from it and grow from it, and kind of share my experiences and educate people in certain aspects of it.
I mean, I look at it like it stands too. This one over here, talk about her 5'1"ness, and we're going to talk about this because here's what it is, and I mean this with the utmost sincerity and respect. And I like I said, I don't underestimate, because I got to say sometimes the short ones are very, you're very feisty. You go out there and do the damn thing. You got a lot to prove, number one, but also look at it, Alexa Bliss, because in WWE, her moniker for a short time was she was 5 feet of fury. So I mean, y'all necessarily, pun intended, you bring the fury.
Yes, I mean, yeah, big packages. I mean, I don't know, we're small people, but we have like so much enthusiasm, and like I feel like we have to show so much more and be more than, I don't know, like someone of normal size, because it's so different, and even my size is different from that, because it's just a whole different world. Obstacles, being left-handed, you have to deal with different things. Scissors, gaming, like, wouldn't you think it'd be on the opposite end? So just imagine being, smaller. Everything is built different, so you have to look at the world different, and people, people different. So it's just so cool to be surrounded by it, and different cultures, different, people, different things.
I look at it like this, and I love how you mentioned the different cultures and the different size and statures. It's like Spike Dudley had the T-shirt in WWE, one tough little bastard. You know what I'm saying? Dude's buck 50, and he's out here doing the acid drop, the Dudley dog to like Kane and the Big Show, and he's in there with Bam Bam Bigelow and ECW, and Bam Bam Bigelow press slams him into the crowd, and they're surfing him around the ECW arena, and then you have a guy like Darby Allin who's like, fuck it. I'm just going to do the coffin drop off of this and that. I'm just going to put my body on the line. Hell, I'm going to go climb Mount Everest and put the AEW flag smack dab on Mount Everest. So it's like, you're going to do what you want to do. It's the adrenaline junkie, but also the adrenaline rush to it because you know that you're in the thrill of it. So you're in that moment because once you're in that moment, all bets are off, just guns a-blazing, so to speak.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of it too. And, going back to Florida, some of the things I really enjoy are attractions and rides. And I think it's that like heart stopping, like your heart dropping. I think I just love the adrenaline. And so if there's any way I can get it, I'll get it.
I'll tell you about those rides. It's that damn TNA's fault with the Impact Zone. I'm just kidding. No, I look at it like that. I'm only kidding. And I mean, I will say this about the Impact Zone. That's the plus about living in Florida. You go to see TNA Impact, and you can go on the rides, much like Danica. It's a perfect caveat, but no, I could completely agree with you. Just because a lot of those rides not only are fun, it's like when you ride the roller coaster as a kid for the first time, and you're like, oh man, how's this gonna go? Because then you get to the tippy top, and then boom, you go right down. But I mean, it's one of those things, man. You have to take the ride, and you equate it to life. Life in itself is one big ride. You just got to keep going on it within the journey. I mean, there's going to be twists and turns, but hey, man, you get to that smooth sailing side of things, and you find that purpose and that nice little balance. So it all comes full circle, so to speak.
Yes, I do agree.
And I will say this about agreeing, man. Like, I also have to put this into perspective from the Arsenal side of things because Tommy Bell and I, shout out to Tommy, we just did a recent podcast, and one of his favorite bouts is you and Shay from LFC 30, Born to Be Wild. We watched that back. And what I've always noticed about this, and we talk about the 5'1"ness, and then you're in there with Jenny and you're kicking and you're striking. But man, you could throw one hell of a roundhouse kick. I just got to put that into perspective here. Because man, like you and Shay were trading kicks and then the suplexes, and then here's Shay with the Northern Lights, and then you hit a snap suplex like it's the Dynamite Kid up in this bitch. And I'm like, man, that's what I'm saying. You adjusted to the style so well just because of how much you take not only this seriously, but you take the craftsmanship and the horsemanship so seriously. Like I could watch that back and I could watch you and Jenny back. That's how good something is where you can just take it in and watch it back. Like we mentioned, moments and memories. But my dude Tommy was like, and he also did an amazing drawing of you back in 2021. If y'all have not checked out that drawing, badassery. But at the end of the day, like, it's just like, God dang, man, you can look at the visuals too. And it's great to put on a great doggone match. But at the end of the day, the storytelling side of things, but also the little subtleties, intricacies, and nuances, like I mentioned, it makes for a perfect recipe. You have to have that perfect recipe, and it tastes well at the end of it.
Yes, and I know a lot of times I'll fixate on it after the fight and fixate on what I could have done better, and I'll listen to it without sound. I'll look at them, I'll look at me, and look at what I could have done better and how I could have, I don't know, made her tap out instead of having to go the full 3 rounds. And the same thing with Jenny. How could I have known that she was going to bite me? Could I have seen that? And sometimes you can't foresee it.
Beautifully said. I like that. I like that as well because, again, the first one you went the full 3 rounds, and it's a hell of a 3 rounds, and then you win. Well, here's the thing, too, because, again, you've had a set of circumstances. I mean, it's one of those things like you win, and then here comes Jolene and all the rest of the fighters like, what the hell? This is some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And you can't even enjoy the moment like they're all up in here. And you, for your credit, you're just like, fuck it. I'll take you all on. You know what I'm saying? To your credit, you're just like, fuck it. I'm ready to go. Let's do it.
Familiar faces stepping in there.
The pink team does not like it.
Here's the pink team all of a sudden. They've gone rogue.
Tomiko, Jolene, and I stormed in the ring once we found the decision was for Danika. We were in protest because there's no way that she should have won.
I think the 3 of us just got pissed, just like that. and we weren't even thinking. We just went up to the ring and got in there because it was quite obvious that Shea won that match. And so the three of us were literally really pissed off.
We think it went the other way.
I did too. Look at this. She's ready to go bare knuckle.
And then this time you get bit, and then this one's over here just like, no, I don't want to get talking about. There's nobody. It's a set of circumstances, man. You're circumstantial. Let's put it out there. You die hard Danika Della Rouge, now you're circumstantial. That's what it is. That's what it is. This is circumstances, Danika. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I could only imagine how, like, I feel like it still would have ended the same with me and Jenny, regardless if she bit me or not. I still would have won, but I wonder how. Would I have broken her leg? Because I was going after her knee. Like, should I have broken it sooner? Like,
See, that stuff even pops me even more. I'm glad you brought up the knee, because this one with the smartness, and we'll quote the great Kurt Angle, intensity, integrity, and intelligence. The intelligence part was coming out because you chopped down the redwood, if you will. You chop blocked her, you dragon screwed leg whipped her, you put her in the leg lock. Like, you had a full focus, man, the money on your mind, like 50 Cent up in here. You had the full focus of like, I'm going to attack this leg. I'm going to put her in a leg lock. Hell, man, I'll put her in a heel hook. You went full MMA submission technician on her, and it was beautiful. I got to put that to fruition. It was beautiful. You had the right game plan going into it.
Awareness there from Della Rouge because she was in trouble. Scores the beautiful takedown off that caught kick.
Oh, Valentine's grabbing the knee. I think her knee might be injured. Oh, and then she's just going after it. Rouge is not letting that bad knee. Oh, and then drops an elbow on it.
Oh, now she's putting it. Look at this toe hold there. More pressure on it. Doesn't get the finish there, but she crawls up on top.
Oh, nice big elbows.
Thank you, thank you. I don't know what her game plan was. I mean, she flipped me over, and I mean, it was kind of hard to remember after that because I was all twisted around. I just have to go back and watch it and see.
That's the thing too. All right. And I'm actually glad that you brought that up, because I had Jenny on a couple of shows ago, and she just recently came off a draw with Sarah Wolf, one of the newer fighters here in LFC. And she did her thing, suplexes, ground and pound tile, but she's just much more like, I'm going to power you down. And she's even said so. I'm going to power you. I'm going to take the wind out of you, and hopefully we'll get this over with as quick as possible, because she's like, I'm going to go in, I'm going to strike, I'm going to take you down. But you were just like, nah, no, ma'am. I am going to chop you down and make sure that doesn't happen. So, I mean, you kind of fit the mold and fit the style very well to what Jenny was going to thwart with you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, after that, I had to do something, and so I just went after her leg. I mean, my leg was injured. I figured I'd get to hers before she got to mine.
Amen to that, man. Amen to that. And I will say this, with everything that you've done thus far, and I cannot wait to see where your journey takes you. I really do, because you are one of the good ones in the professional wrestling business and in general, Miss DDR. But God dang it, man. Give me some more LFC fights with you. I mean, Bella Inc., like we mentioned, LFC champion. We got Bella Madison as the LFC Booty Camp champion. We got a lot of new people in, and we got a lot of veterans still sticking around doing this damn thing. I got to say, I mentioned one earlier. You and Laura Frazier, man. Lauren the Adventurous Ceccarelli up in here. Cali girl coming out of Stoner U. She's doing her thing here in LFC. That's another one. I think you two would have a great one. She's also very calculated in her attack. She's coming into her own. I think that would be a great bout for the future.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of girls, and I haven't really been able to meet them. I know there's a lot of new ones, too. So, I mean, let's get in the ring.
Hell yeah. And I will say this, definitely, if you've not checked out DDR, we mentioned AEW and Defy Wrestling and the independent professional wrestling scene. If you're at your local indie, say what's up to DDR. If you're at your local indie, watch the match. And also, if you're at your local indie, join the show, because that's what it is. It's showmanship, it's professionalism, and it's a doggone good time in the world of professional wrestling, LFC, respectively and collectively. So with that being said, DDR, it's always a pleasure having you on the show and recounting a lot of great memories that you have had amongst the many others in the world of LFC Lingerie Fighting Championship. I would love to have you back. For a lot of the girls and I have been doing watch-alongs, so I definitely want to have you back. And we'll do a watch-along of you and Jenny Bloody Valentine, man. We'll watch that match together. We'll analyze, dissect, and decipher it.
Okay, perfect.
I got you.
Then I can prove that she did bite me.
See, it all comes back into fruition. Just chomping, man, chomping.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Fairly Odd Parents had Chompy the goat on there. She channeled her inner Chompy, man. She chomped it. Anyway, I digress. Cartoons and pop culture aside, DDR, where can we follow you on the social media fronts? You're doing your thing where everybody can check you out. The floor is yours. Go right ahead.
Yes, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, Danika Della Rouge. I'm on all of those, and I'll see you guys next time.
Hell yeah. All right now. Beautifully, beautifully said. And I will say this. If you have not checked out LFC, LFCfights.com is the place to be, where you can see LFC 30 Born to be Wild. This one in her first main event against Shay the Fox Mazzato for the LFC Championship. You can check out this one back in action at LFC 37 Back to the Mansion against Jenny Bloody Valentine. And so many great events, including our recent ones, LFC 40 Booty Camp 5 and LFC 41 Lingerie Fight Club, live from the FSW Arena in fine Las Vegas, Nevada, and so many great venues. Check out the VIP section for this fine show, and as well as Tommy Billard Sketch and Funny, LFC Exposed, which features a lot of behind the scenes from Sturgis, and this one given some great commentary about her bout with Shay, and a lot of the great LFC fighters. You get the nice little inside of what we get to see with these fine LFC events. So go out of your way for LFCfights.com, and of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Mike Larkin92. DDR, do you have any final words for the LFC faithful and the LFC fans, and what can we expect from you in the future?
Well, I don't know when I'll be back, but I know I will be back. So as soon as I know, we'll post about it, and I'll come talk to you again.
Beautifully and eloquently said. All right. I feel like Wu-Tang Clan up in here. I think y'all better protect your neck when this one comes right around. I like your style.
Or
So,
your knee.
yeah.
And with Jenny, your neck with her teeth.
Yeah. Yeah. Bust some bicuspids. I like your style. Incisors, man. Okay. I will say this, y'all. Definitely that deserves a rematch. And also, I cannot wait to see who your next opponent is, because I know you're going to kill it, much like all the LFC ladies do. And folks, as I always say within this show, life is an art form where we're all applying our crafts. Continue to apply your craft in amazing fashion. And much like the title of this fine program is, beauty, strength, and dominance, the three key elements that make women the work of art that they are. And DDR, Danika Della Rouge, I include you in those sentiments. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I was built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on the gas, never stop competing. If you break my glass, then this life's gonna end.
I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name. Check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change. Possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quench the thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic, with this logic you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic.
Built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas. No, never stop competing, yeah.
I've been doing this, I'm on it. I just wanna be iconic. Sipping on a gin and tonic, got me going off when I'm on this topic, yeah. If I ever play, I want it. You know that I'm always honest. Stay away from those who are toxic. Keep them out your face, no way, you don't want them, yeah. Don't try to drain my energy. The enemy is everything. It's mentally, unhealthily, spreading like a rare disease. But I won't let it get to me. I don't need your therapy, I can leave a legacy.